¿Alguna vez te arrepentiste de venir acá?
La verdad, nunca me he arrepentido. Hay cosas que no salieron como pensábamos, pero si no hubiéramos venido acá, pues la vida de todos sería diferente, especialmente la de ustedes. Entonces, pues me doy cuenta que sí valió la pena, Dani. ¿Mm?
On August 20th of 2005, my family and I moved to Weston, a quaint suburb in the heart of South Florida, some 40 minutes outside of Miami. A warm, tropical slice of heaven, home to thousands of immigrants from Latin America. Nearly 17 years ago, my father's petition for an O1 visa was approved. This visa was a blessing. It was our entry into the presumed land of opportunity.
I think I've had a good life in the United States. I had a good childhood, went to good schools, met good people. Can't complain about my life here, really.
Like most visa holders, my father hoped to eventually achieve permanent residence or citizenship. But unfortunately, this never happened.
Fue una ilusión muy grande y tu papá es una persona muy optimista, siempre con la ilusión de llegar a ser residente, pero yo poco a poco me empecé a dar cuenta que nosotros no íbamos a poder serlo.
And with time, things became less promising for my brother and I. It turns out that children of O1 visa holders are only eligible for dependent status so long as they are under the age of 21. As a temporary solution to maintain our legal status and remain in the country, we applied for the F1 visa, the student visa. After our student visas expire, we don't have many choices.
I guess I have two options. One is to finish school, find a job that will sponsor me. And if not, I would probably have to get married for papers.
If nothing works, we face having to go back to our countries of birth, no matter how long we've called the United States our home. It took me a very long time to realize that my brother and I also fall under the category of dreamers.
I've never lived in Colombia, so that would be tough. It would take a lot of time to get used to it because I'm accustomed to this life.
However, we do not qualify for relief programs like DACA or the DREAM Act, simply because our parents always maintained a legal status.
Fui y pedí una cita en migración, me acuerdo. Y revisaron el caso y tenían todo el perfil para clasificar. Habían llegado en las edades que pedían, en el año que cubría el programa. Y me acuerdo que el oficial revisó todo, iba como todo bien, dijo: pero aquí hay un problema, ustedes nunca han sido ilegales.
Naturally, all of these restrictions and the fear of having to leave the place where we grew up have led us to feel like visitors in our own country. This has also made it incredibly difficult to answer the most seemingly simple question.
Where are you from?
I've lived here since I was like 6 years old, and I feel more American than anything, but I'm still not a citizen. I'm a student, international student, even though I've lived here my whole life.
While it's true that every immigration case is different, under our particular case, there really was no road to citizenship.
Tratamos por todos los medios de hacer las cosas como tenían que ser y finalmente no terminó pasando.
But unfortunately, his last petition was denied in May of 2019. As a result, he and my mother had to self-deport and leave behind their home,
No, pues eso fue una frustración.
their children.
Lo que más he extrañado es a ti y a Juan Diego. Es algo que ni siquiera lo tengo que pensar porque las demás cosas se extrañan, pero a ustedes los extraño cada minuto del día.
and the life they spent almost 2 decades building.
También extraño todo, mi casa, mis cosas.
The lack of media representation for cases like ours has made our experience an extremely isolating one. It has also rendered the public completely unaware of our struggle.
I don't think anybody understands or can relate.
And of the fact that we, too, can be separated from our families.
Yo sé que estamos lejos, que aunque hablemos, pues es diferente. No los veo. Me siento como si no fuera parte de la vida de ustedes.
My brother and I spent years thinking that we were the only ones in this gray zone. However, to my surprise, in the United States, there are over 200,000 documented dreamers who face self-deportation after aging out of their parents' dependent status.
Until recently, even conversations surrounding immigration reform had not included documented dreamers. In the past, legislation to help children who grow up in the United States excluded those with a documented status. And there may be a lot of reasons why that happened, but I think for the most part, it just wasn't seen as a big enough of an issue.
In a news ecosystem that values the shock factor of desperate people and the confrontations that federal agents have with these desperate people, because there hasn't really been much meaningful relief, at least not in Congress, and in Washington generally in over 3 decades. The knee jerk for an entire generation of journalists who cover politics, who cover policy, it's just sort of like, oh, no way, that's dead in the water. There's no way it's going to happen. And to lose the nuances of, say, people in a visa backlog, that's a problem.
I knew that I was an immigrant, but I never really thought that it would affect me. I thought by the time I became older, we would get our green card. I felt like I didn't have to worry about it. Obviously, it didn't take long for me to realize that, okay, this is going to affect me, and I can't control what happens.
And who, despite their struggle, are dedicated to making a change.
Really, there is no clear pathway to citizenship for children who grow up in our situations as dependent visa holders. And the only way that changes is if our laws change. And really, that frustration is why I started Improve the Dream. I started educating members of Congress, educating congressional offices about this issue. And everyone agreed that the situation that we were in didn't make sense. It really shows how broken our system is, but at the same time, I really think most Americans assume what we're trying to change and achieve is something that already exists. And I'm glad that we've been able to bring the awareness necessary and that effort has been recognized by people in Congress. We were also able to work with members of Congress to help introduce the America's Children Act.
America's Children's Act would protect individuals who are children of long-term non-immigrant visa holders from aging out of the system at age 21. These students grew up here, they attended school here, they've gone to universities here, and they continue to make our country a better place, and I am proud to support them.
I can't emphasize enough how important this legislation is. I'm going to do everything I can to fight with my colleagues to make it law. And I can't wait to see all of you become green card holders, permanent residents, and citizens, and to greet you as such on Capitol Hill.
These inspiring young people love America and believe in the power of American democracy. They worked closely with the leaders here today to craft legislation to fix one of many of the deep flaws embedded in our broken immigration system.
Though it's been an incredibly challenging journey.
At this point, it's just like a personal itch, I guess, of just wanting to know that I can be here and not have to worry about visa renewals and all of that stuff.
A journey full of uncertainty.
Okay, if I moved to India next week, what would happen?
A journey full of frustration.
Obviously, I would be leaving my parents here. I would be quitting my education. There would be some sort of a language barrier for sure.
I have nothing but faith in us.
I think what we've already done with our community of Improve the Dream has already made a huge difference. We've had 2 documented dreamers testify in front of a congressional hearing in less than a year.
Because going back has never been and will never be an option.
We cannot give up. We will not give up because documented dreamers and millions of other immigrants deserve better.
I grew up in Seattle. Starbucks was founded there. I didn't know how much more American I could get.
Because this is our home.
Being considered an alien, an outsider, in the only place you know to call home is a different kind of pain.
I'm going to turn 22 next month, and I've lived here all but 4 months of my life.
I was born in India, but I grew up in Southern Illinois, and this is my home.
Because we want out of this limbo.
My name is Isabel Campos. I am 26 years old and I'm originally from Tampico, Tamaulipas, Mexico.
Growing up, I never truly understood the effect that this would have
My
on me.
name is Anakul Karni, and I'm currently 21 years old as of January 9th.
When I was around 13, 14 years old.
My family moved here with me when I was around 2 years old, and we moved around a lot, starting off in New Jersey.
During COVID, when the Department of Homeland Security released a statement that international students could not stay in the United States unless they were taking in-person classes.
That every single day was bringing me closer to the dreaded moment when I would be forced to leave the country that I had cherished and loved as my own.
The most difficult parts about being a documented dreamer is just the constant uncertainty, and I think that's a sentiment that you'll hear repeated from pretty much any
Most law
documented dreamer that you
that
ask.
summer were just worrying about their classes.
There's no sense of belonging.
I don't have the rights that every American citizen
Never can
has.
plan far ahead into the future. For example, I'm currently applying to medical school.
Bueno, difícil de explicar, pero me imagino que